Good morning, everyone. Hope you're keeping well. I just want to share a few thoughts with you this morning from a passage of scripture that is one of my favourites, and it's found in Luke chapter 24, and it's quite a long reading from verse 13 to verse 36. But I'd ask you, as we read this, that you try and imagine yourself on this journey. Now, that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. And as they talked and discussed things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them, but they were kept from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you only a visitor to Jerusalem and do not know the things that have happened there in these days?" "What things?" he asked. "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what's more, it's the third day since all this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but didn't find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it was just as the women had said, but him they did not see." He said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Christ have to suffer these things and then enter his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in the scriptures concerning himself. And as they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus acted as if he would go further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us, for it's nearly evening. The day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him. He disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they found the 11, and those with them assembled together, saying, "It is true, the Lord has risen and has appeared to Simon." Then the two told what had happened on the way, how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. As I said, this is one of my favourite scriptures. And it's just so amazing the way that Jesus comes alongside, but he's hidden from them. They don't know it's him, and you'd think that they would recognize him, but they don't. And he says, "What are you talking about?" And they begin to tell him the story. But then they say 3 words that I think are some of the saddest words in the Bible. They say, "We had hoped." We had hoped. All their aspirations, all their dreams, everything that they had trusted in was in Jesus, and they had hoped. But it seemed like their hope had been misplaced. They were convinced that Jesus was the one who would physically redeem Israel, and they were confused about the news that they'd been hearing, things that had been said. And how does Jesus respond? In verse 27, it says, "Beginning with Moses, he explained the scripture about himself." Beginning with Moses, he went through all of the scriptures, all of the prophets. He went through Psalms, he went through Jeremiah, he went through the suffering servant in Isaiah, he went to Habakkuk. He went through them all and showed them that this is what was meant to happen. This was how the Messiah must die. Jesus is going to move on. And they say, "Oh no, stay, it's getting late, come and eat with us." So he goes in and he eats with them. And generally in those situations, it would be the master of the house who would bless the bread. But in this instance, Jesus does it. And as he blesses the bread, he's immediately revealed to them. They see him, and then he disappears. It's at this point that everything changes. And we read in verse 32 where they say, "Didn't our hearts burn within us as he was talking?" The Greek word for that is set alight. They've done 180-degree turn from total despondence to fire burning in their hearts as they listen to God's word. So what can we learn from this? What does God do when he opens his word to us? What God does when he opens his word to us is he shows himself to us. He shares his thoughts, his plans. He's teaching us. He teaches us his ways. He's allowing us to see all the possibilities that are ours because we belong to him. The revelation of God's word that Jesus showed to these men changed their whole lives. They went back to Jerusalem with hearts that were on fire for what God's next plan was for them. And I just feel really challenged and excited about this, the power that is in God's word as he reveals it to us as individuals. And my prayer for you today, indeed my prayer for all of us, is that as we look at, as we consider, as we wait on God over his word, that we too will know what it is like to be set on fire for him. Amen.